Topic today is quadratic equations, and on quadratic equations we have about four ways of solving quadratic equations. The first one is the factorization method. After that, we look at completing the square method, then the formula method, then we solve it graphically. This is a grade 11 topic, so what we'll be doing is that we'll be doing a grade 11 topic, then we get back to grade 10, then we go to grade 12 topic. So this is a grade 11 topic, how to solve quadratic equations. So firstly, we'll start with the factorization method. How you can factorize a quadratic equation using the factorization method. So factorization method. Factorization method. Now, what is a quadratic equation? Simply, a quadratic equation is a quadratic expression that is equated to 0. What do I mean? Quadratic expression is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. And this expression equated to 0 becomes a quadratic equation. And a, b, c are constants or coefficients. So a, b, c are constant. These are real numbers, where a is not equal to 0. Always a is not equal to 0, but b can be equal to 0, c can be equal to 0. So you can have something like x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation because you have x squared, the coefficient of x squared should not be equal to 0, meaning our a in this case is 1, right? So here we go. How do we go about solving a quadratic equation? How do we go about solving a quadratic equation? So I've got an example here. X squared plus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. So how do you go about solving this quadratic equation using the factorization method? So here's how you factorize. You will note that this is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. And so what is our a and what is our b and what is our c? So we collect our data here for the sake of understanding well. So our data is that we collect our data, our a is equal to 1, the coefficient of x squared, our b is equal to 3, and our c is equal to 2. Now, using the factorization method, you have to find two numbers that if you multiply, they'll give you the value of a times c. And if you add, they'll give you the value of b. So what we're saying is that a times c and b. So what is our a times c? 2 times 1. 2 times 1, which is equal to 2. And our b is 3. So you look for two numbers in your head. Just look for two numbers. If you multiply them, they'll give you 2. But if you add them, they'll give you 3. So the easiest way you can have that in mind is looking at the numbers that you have. Right? You have 3, you have 2. If you look at these 2, what can you do or add in order to get our b? It's 1. So 2 plus 1 will give you 3. So you think 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. What about 2 times 1? So it's all about trial and error, right? Trial and error. So in this case, we have two numbers. If you multiply them, 2 and 1. If you multiply 2 and 1, you get our 2 here. If you add the 2, you get 3. Hence, these are the two values that we're going to use in order to factorize this equation and be able to solve it. Right? So what do? Replace this in the equation, excluding this. And these will take the form of x. How? So we'll get down here. It will be x squared plus getting these two values. So this should have a variable x, and this one should have a variable x, meaning these are the coefficients. So it will be 2x plus this is 1, which is 1x, which can be written as x plus 2. This 2 here, we get the 2 back, which is equal to 0. What we've actually done essentially is splitting the 3x into 2x plus x, because 2x plus x gets back to 3x. So it's just the same thing. We've just splitted it. This method is a way of splitting it for you to easily factorize. So what can you do now? You can put this in brackets. And after you put that in brackets, you factorize these separate. So you factorize this. What is a common variable here, or common number or letter? You have x here and x here. Hence you have x, open bracket, x plus 2, you close, plus here we've got 1, 1, so 1 outside, x plus 2, which is equal to 0, right? And having looked at x plus 2 being common, hence you get this as 1. So you have x plus 2, and you get the remainder x plus 1. X plus 1, you equate it to 0. So how do you then find the value of x and x here? When you have two real numbers, a times b, which is equal to 0. Either a is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0, or b is equal to 0. Hence, a is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0. So this is what we're going to do here. In order to find the values of x here, we're going to equate this part of bracket equal to 0 and this part equal to 0. Equal to 0. So here we go. X plus 2 is equal to 0. X plus 1 is equal to 0. Here our x is equal to -2, and here our x is equal to -1. And this is how you solve a quadratic equation using the factorization method. So now, on your own, if you want to prove your answers, you can actually prove the answers. So how do you do it to prove your answers? So these are the answers we have. Our x is equal to -2. Our x is equal to -1. So these are the two possible answers that you can have. So now, how do you get to prove these answers if they are correct? So what you do is you just replace them in the variable x. For example, get x is equal to -2. So what you do is -2. Where there's x, you put -2 plus 3 -2 plus 2. This should be equal to 0. -2 squared, this is 4, +4, plus this is -6 plus 2, which is equal to 0. So 4 minus 6, this is positive times negative is negative. So 4 minus 6 is -2 plus 2 is equal to 0. This is equal to 0. Hence, we've proved that these answers we found are correct. So this is how you solve a quadratic equation using the factorization method. So let's try another example. Let's try another example for us to understand well. So our example 2. So you have x squared is equal to 7x minus 12. Now, this is a quadratic equation. Don't be confused because it's written x squared is equal to 7x minus 12. What you're supposed to do here is you take this on the left hand side of your equation so that you can be able to solve it well. So x squared, when this crosses the equal sign, becomes minus x. This one becomes positive 12, which is equal to 0. Like I said, you collect your data here. Collect your data. Our a is equal to 1. Our b is equal to -7. And our c is equal to 12. And our c is equal to 12. So you look for two numbers. A times b is equal to what? A times c, sorry. A times c is 12 times 1, which is equal to 12. And our b is equal to -7. So you look for two numbers. If you multiply them, they'll give you 12. If you add them, they'll give you -7. What are those two numbers? So you're supposed to be very sharp in terms of your thinking. As I've already denoted to say, 4 and these two numbers, -4 and -3, if you multiply them, they'll give you 12. Negative times negative is positive. -4 plus -3, this will give you -7. So you have to be very sharp. Think of two numbers. It's about try and error. You try numbers, trial and error. -4 minus 3. Then we get this and replace them in our equation. So x squared, like I said, this whole equation, this whole is split into these two. So this would be -4x minus 3x plus 12, this 12 that is remaining, which is equal to 0. You factorize them. So this will be x is common here, and here will remain with x minus 4. Then here we have 3x plus 12. 3 can enter into 12, hence it will come out. So we have -3 x, remain with x here, so that when you multiply -3 times x, you get back to -3x. So you remain with x minus 4. The reason why it's minus, it's because we've factored out -3. So negative times the negative, it will give us back our positive, is equal to 0. So you factor out what is common. X minus 4 is common, so x minus 4 here, and our remainder is x minus 3, which is equal to 0. So like I said, you equate this to 0 and that to 0. So what do we have? X minus 4 is equal to 0, where our x is equal to 4, or x minus 3 is equal to 0, and our x is equal to 3. So the reason why we're saying "or" is because we're having possible answers. So there are two possible answers which you can have, either 4 or 3. Yeah, so you can go ahead and try to prove whether 3 and 4 actually are our answers.